I didn't like her. I didn't love her. For one moment she gave herself to me like no other has since. It would be our moment forever. London. The camera swarmed the streets that year, eating away any propriety the city might have had, from the working class to the House of Lords to 10 Downing Street. God save the Queen indeed. It was like Goldilocks. One chair was too tall. One chair was too wide. And I was just right, except for the fact that I needed an aperture cut to avoid copyright infringement. But I still had the heart-shaped torso, the slight suggestion of an hourglass shape. There are millions of chairs in the world, and millions of women. And no matter how many times they try to recreate that moment, they never quite get it right. Sometimes it's the position of the hands, the angle of the legs, the tilt of the head, the cut of the chair. But it's all too deliberate. They try too hard to capture that perfect marriage of modesty and brazen abandonment. That day I posed for 3 rolls of film. For the first 2, Christine moved around me. She posed on the floor next to me. She sat on me. I stood by her as she leaned forward and back, giving her best pin-up. Eyes were all around us, but when she disrobed, it was only we 2 before the camera. She straddled me and positioned her arms as best she could, sometimes hand on chin, sometimes arms dangling. The photographer thought he was done and stepped back to look at his camera. And that is when she perched her elbows, fists cradling her jaw. No smile, only a weary eye. Her legs were like jutting stumps, as if she had been cut off at the knees. But it was the perfect V of her shoulders that brought us into perfect symmetry. And that was the last shot. That was the last exposure. The last of London, 1963. I'm now an icon. There are many famous chairs and many famous women, but it's strange that my notoriety was born from such an ordinary moment, from being such an ordinary thing with an ordinary woman. 2 objects with the task of remaining solitary and still. Today is Sunday, March 6th, 2011.